Nisam Bulivinaka, my name is Olivia Tokalaulevu. I am a project officer and I look after the QATSICPP Workforce Scholarships. Before I begin this presentation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the lands on which I am recording this from, the Yagara people. I recognise their continuing connection to land, sea, sky, waterways, community and culture. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and future, and extend that respect out to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that I work and walk alongside with on country. Thank you. So this presentation is just going to give you some information about the QATSICPP Scholarships. Our courses are in partnership with Griffith University and also supported and funded by the Queensland Government. So the purpose of our scholarship, each year QATSICPP offers 25 scholarships around August, September, and the purpose of our scholarship is to provide financial support and also provide the opportunity to undertake postgraduate studies relating to the community controlled sector. So QATSICPP offer support in a graduate certificate in First Peoples Community Practice or the Graduate Certificate in Human Services. Okay, so eligibility criteria. The first one would be being eligible for the QATSICPP scholarship, and there's only two criteria for that, is that you are of Aboriginal and/or Torres Strait Islander heritage and you're employed as a child, youth and family worker in one of our member organisations. So that's to qualify for the scholarship, which will provide the funding. And then the Griffith University entry requirements for the two grad cert programs would be whether you have a bachelor degree or higher. If not, you could present with a relevant Cert 4 or diploma plus 1 year's full-time work experience. Or the other entry point is that you've got 3 years full-time work experience in the community services sector. So majority of our applicants come through on that 3 years full-time work experience, and basically when you submit your application through Griffith Uni, you will need to provide a copy of your resume and a letter from your manager explaining your current roles and responsibilities in the workplace. Just a brief overview of the two graduate certificate programs. You need to successfully complete 4 courses. That's 2 core subjects and 2 electives. The recommended study plan for the 2 courses is that 1 year part-time study, and that's generally your first elective in trimester 3, which is a QATSICPP subject, and I'll speak to that a bit more. And then trimester 1 in the following year, you complete another core subject, and then trimester 2 you complete your other core and the other elective. So that's the recommended study plan, but you do get 2 years to complete the graduate certificate. So if in the event that life happens, you can defer, you can withdraw, and you can take a leave of absence. So that means you can take 2 consecutive trimesters off during that period, but you have 2 years to complete the graduate certificate. As I mentioned, we start in trimester 3, so that's usually the first week of November, and that is the first subject, which is Queensland Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Community Controlled Child Protection Practice Standards. So this is the subject that QATSICPP have co-designed with Glenn Woods, our program advisor over at Griffith University, and this is an entry-level subject to introduce you into uni life and get you used to assessments and getting involved in what's required for university studies. So it's a good entry-level subject, and usually the classes are grouped into one block week, and we generally get the classes over and done with. They're co-facilitated with QATSICPP staff. So a nice entry-level subject to get you started. And basically this is all done online, so all online study. So you've got to make sure you've got the right tech in place, in terms of like a computer, laptop, and a good connection. Student support network. So this is the support you should expect as a QATSICPP scholarship student. From your organisation, when you apply, we expect you to get your line supervisor and CEO to approve of you applying for the scholarship. We expect that there is regular supervision from your line supervisor, and we hope that your organisation has set up flexibility in your role and workplace to help you take on this scholarship and learn. So that means, for example, maybe if you've got a lecture in the middle of the day, being able to actually block that out in your calendar, move away from your work desk and sit in a meeting room to really focus on that lecture. So that's the kind of flexibility we want to see in your organisation to support you and facilitate your learning while you're still completing your role in the workplace. From QATSICPP, you can expect regular student check-ins from myself and the other mentors here at QATSICPP. Even visits will come out and have a yarn. Always happy to come out and have a yarn and do a check-in and see how you're travelling, and if you need any extra support. We have developed learning journey guides, so once you have accepted the scholarship, we will post these out to you individually, and basically it's like a tracker, so it helps you facilitate those conversations with your line supervisor, set goals, monitor progress, and set out your assessments for the duration of your course. So that's one thing we'll send out to you as well. Group workshops. So basically we will facilitate online workshops where around assessments. So we'll have a look at each subject and the assessments that are coming up in the trimester, and then we'll have workshops 2-3 weeks prior to it's due, just so that we could sit there and dissect it as a group. And if you have questions, that's where you can tap into our facilitators and mentors that have done the courses. And then the other support network will come from Gumari Student Success Unit. So we've managed to secure a good partnership with Gumari. They have dedicated student success officers that are allocated just to our QATSICPP cohort. For our Southeast pocket, anyone can get, any of our students can get the student cards, but these student cards are to access the Gumari services at the 5 campuses we have across Southeast Queensland. So in those hubs, they have a full kitchen, which is all stocked up. They've got computers, free printing. They've got meeting rooms, study rooms. They've got a lounge area with a PlayStation. So they're like, whatever you need, if you just want to go in there and get work done, you can do that. And there's free printing. These access cards are 24/7, so you can access any of the 5 campuses. And the other support that they offer is the Tutoring for Success program. So when you receive the scholarship, we expect you to register for Tutoring for Success, because it has been proven right across the nation that at university, if you engage with tutoring throughout your course, you are more likely to pass. So this is where you'll get that one-on-one support, and that'll be from your tutor, and your tutors are matched to you and your needs and your timing of when you're available, and they've already done the course. So they greatly assist with things like reading over your assessments, giving you advice on academic learning and writing and things like that. So please don't just see it as free. Register and engage, because you are more likely to pass your course. Okay, now that you have all the information about the scholarship and the graduate certificate programs, one thing we really want to hone in on is, before you apply, you need to assess your student readiness and preparedness to take on this course. So one of the most important things to consider is why. Why do you want to study? What are your motivations to study? And how will this study help you? So it's really important that you sit down and you ask yourself these questions before even applying. So the other things that you need to consider is your social and emotional well-being. So it's really important to have your work, study, life balance, and that's little things like making sure you got your routine at home, your routine at work, and where the study is going to fit in with that. So I suppose in our community controlled sector, a lot of our workers and practitioners could experience vicarious trauma. So in that sense, I hope that you already have self-care practices in place to deal with that, because even when you do switch off from work and you then jump into your studies also, there are Indigenous subjects that could potentially trigger trauma again, and I just want to emphasize that you do need to have self-care practices in place for study as well. So hopefully that routine's set up at work and you can just transfer that over to your study, but it's very important your social and emotional well-being comes first, and just making sure you got self-care practices in place to ensure that that's taken care of. Another thing to consider is your commitment. So on top of work and life, with studying, we probably recommend a minimum of 5 hours per week that you set aside towards your graduate certificate. And this is to cover off potentially a 1 hour lecture, a 1 hour tutorial, 1 hour of reading content, 1 hour dedicated to your assessment, and another hour dedicated to engaging with your tutor. So that's just an example. You could split your time however you want to, but it's recommended that you do put aside 5 hours per week to dedicate towards your study. So whether that's an hour a day after work, where you just quickly sit down, tap into your lectures or your tutorials, which are recorded because it's online study. So if you do miss it, you can always go back, but sort of don't get into that habit, so that you're always prepared ahead in terms of having that in your work schedule or your work diary to tap out when your lecture's on, tap out when your tutorial's on, and really be able to engage with the content. So, and the final thing to consider is your time management and organizational skills. So where are you going to prioritize your study in that priority list? And I guess the best advice we could give you is that you plan beforehand. So you are given your course profile prior to the trimester starting, and it's got all your assessments listed there when they're due. So it's a matter of prepping yourselves, putting that into your work diary, and ensuring you have enough time. You also set aside time each week leading up to your assessment to work on it bit by bit. That's probably the biggest downfall, is not being prepared and getting yourselves organized. So in terms of organization skills, now when you get your course profile, because you already have your assessment pieces, if you know you have to travel for work and there's assessment due when you're traveling and it's already in your work diary, you can email your lecturer and request an extension beforehand. So that's what we mean by organizational skills, is making sure you're managing that time. Like if you've got an assessment due but you're also traveling for work, email your lecturer as soon as possible, as soon as you identify that, and let them know, I actually have to travel for work that week. Could I potentially arrange an extension for that assessment? And yeah, get in early, prepare yourself, organize your diary, and make sure you're ready for study. Okay, this year's intake. Here are the key dates. Applications will open in August. We'll give you a couple of weeks to get your application forms back to us, and we'll notify you by the end of September. And then in that email, if you accept the scholarships, we'll send the links to apply for the graduate certificate program. And please note that applications close on the 23rd of October. Then we have so Griffith have their own student orientation week, but with Gumari will do an orientation just for our cohort. So that's online, or if you'd like to attend in person, if you're down in Brisbane, we can definitely set up in-person tours as well. And then you will start on the first week of November. And here are my details. So take that information, go back, self-reflect, ask those questions, and if you are keen to apply, send me an expression of interest to scholarships@QATSICPP.com.au. I will forward you the guidelines, have a read, and if you're ready to apply, I'll put you on the inquiry list and you will receive the email when the application packs go out. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email me or call me, but that is the information. Also happy to come out to your organisation and share the information or have a yarn with other staff members as well. Thank you.